Hello, I'm the Role Star, and quite frankly, I wouldn't be living up to my name if I didn't have this talk with you. And you may be noticing that I'm not hiding behind fancy memes and imagery this time. And there's a reason for that, because this is a heavy talk we need to have as Americans right now. And, just for a brief moment, just stop what you're doing, put it down, and listen. And I know there are certain members of my family who are shaking their head right now, or by the end of this will be shaking their head right now and unfriending me on Facebook. And that's okay to disagree on certain issues. But what's not okay is what's going on right now, where we have grown adults looking at a tragedy, right? Where people are dying left and right in a totally preventable, like I can't even fathom this, how it's just wrong. And we're inflicting this on our future generations over and over and over with our inaction, because for whatever reason, whether it's the NRA paying the lawmakers or the voters that don't want to lose access to their guns. And for clarity here, I'm not saying go ahead and melt down all the guns. That's not what I'm saying. But if there's some kind of big red flag in your history that would indicate that you would go out and do something like this, and most 99.9% of the time, there's been multiple of those red flags each time, right? And then we look at these kids who have watched their friends, their family, their teachers dying for no reason whatsoever except some asshole... Oh, John's using a bad word. Yes, John's using a bad word. Okay, this is serious. Because some asshole had to come in and exercise his Second Amendment right to murder tens of dozens of people at a time. Okay, that part was not in the Constitution at all. Okay? And then we look at the survivors of this tragedy and say, they're not real survivors. And we traumatize them all over again for having the courage to come out and say, hey, this is wrong. And it is wrong. And then we look at everything else that we can possibly think of, some of which we've already debunked in the last 10 years. Violent video games have come up, violent media, rather, has come up again and again and again. And we've already put that to bed. In the I forget if it was 2011 or 2012 Supreme Court case that ruled that there is no concrete link between this person played Grand Theft Auto or this person was bullied. You know, I've been bullied too. I play video games too. Okay, nobody's been bullied more than I have. Well, I shouldn't say that, but you know, I've been bullied down to I preferred privacy in the bathroom. I've been bullied down to what color my pants were the day that I walked in to school. I've been bullied because I was a late bloomer to the dating scene. I was bullied because I didn't have much friends because I was bullied. I've been bullied because my dad is Jewish, my mom's Christian. That makes me Jewish. Okay? And you don't see me doing this kind of crap. And the vast majority of people who've been bullied don't do this kind of crap. Oh, John's using more bad words. Yes, John's using more bad words. Bear with me here. And it's just... It baffles me to think that these grown... I hope they're grown men and women in Congress and in the media. Like, you would think that they're adults. Look at these children who have to wake up and wonder for the day of the rest of their lives, could I have done something different that could have made a difference in this? Could I have saved someone if I had acted differently? Could I, whatever, what ifs? And then, on top of it, the recurring fear that this could happen again to somebody else. In another high school, or in another movie theater, like the Aurora shooting. Okay, this is happening way too often. And it's... Look, I'll be the first to admit, the mental health situation in America sucks. It is just the worst out of all the developed countries. But I wouldn't go so far as to say that that's the reason that this is happening. Because you know, I have a psychiatric record too. I'm on a blog called the Aspie Dialogues, okay? And that pretty much confirms that I have a psychiatric diagnosis and a psychiatric record, okay? Again, you do not see me walking into a school and firing, like, semi-automatic bullets into everything that I see. And that's exactly what these people are doing time and time again. And the common through line in all of this is they were able to get a gun when they shouldn't have been. And people say, like, well, cars are deadlier than guns because they have more deaths associated with them with guns. Well, let's take a look at the purpose of a car. And this is where I'm losing several of my family members, because I have various family members who are police officers, some friends who are police officers, and a father who voted for Trump, much to my chagrin, okay? But, and a mother who just doesn't want to hear the political debates anymore. Not that that's a bad thing, but let's be honest here. The less we talk about difficult situations, the less prepared for them when they arrive. Like this, right now. Because now we've devolved into re-traumatizing tragedy survivors who are teenagers. Some of them are probably under the age of 15 at this point. Okay? They're kids. And we're accusing them of all kinds of vitriol. And that's bullshit. Come on, we can do so much better, because we have to do so much better than this. I expect much better at this from adults and the people we elect to represent us. You know? It's... I don't know how to describe it. The burning rage that I'm feeling right now. That all the deflection. You want to talk about, oh, what can we do, what can we do, what can we do? It keeps happening. Here's a novel thought. What are all the other countries doing that don't have this problem? We like to think we're the best at everything, and then something like this happens that doesn't happen to any other country to this extreme, and we don't listen to it. We don't learn from it. It's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result each time. It's frustrating. No, that's not even the right word. It's enraging at this point. Because at their stage in life, these kids shouldn't have to be taking on lawmakers to make sure that they're safe. Okay? They shouldn't need that level of stress in their life at age 15. Or 16, 17, 18, whatever their age is, current age is in high school. Okay? These Parkland students shouldn't need to be going through this at their stage in life. This is stuff that the lawmakers and the media should be fighting, not them. They should be worrying about who's going to ask me to prom, who should I take to the dance, oh man, that big test is coming up, oh, the big game at homecoming, am I going to pass my driver's license exam? But instead, they get to worry about, what if it's going to be my school next? And there's nobody doing anything to protect them. And there was a recent viral note that's going around about a teacher in a wheelchair whose students had to have a talk, who felt it incumbent upon themselves to have a talk amongst each other to decide what to do if somebody came shooting at them. Do they follow the school plan to just get out of there, or do they carry the teacher out with them? And they decided to carry the teacher out with them. That's not something that they should have to worry about at their age. And it's at the point where everyone's on such lockdown, I can't even get in to visit my old teachers at my old high school. America, like I said, we can do so much better than this. And I believe we can do so much better than this. Because we have to do so much better than this. We have to do better than this for our kids, okay? And, you know, this is the part where I'm pretty sure I've lost half of you by now, but maybe even more than half. There's a difference between dissent and dismissal, okay? Dissent is just disagreeing amongst each other, and that's okay. You know, we have the First Amendment that lets us disagree with each other all the damn time, okay? It's written into the First Amendment, which, by the way, is freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and freedom of the press. It covers all four of those, okay? I was appalled in high school by how many of my classmates did not know it covered all four of those. And they couldn't even decide amongst themselves which of the four they thought it covered. Point being, I'm digressing a bit. My point being that we have the right to disagree on a political spectrum of ideas. And that's perfectly fine. No one's saying you have to agree with me or else, okay? I'm not saying that, and I hope you're not saying that to yourselves behind the screen. But when it comes to the Second Amendment, I started to delve into this before. The purpose of a car, point A to point B, it has a purpose. Nobody is supposed to get hurt. Okay, it has a primary function. It so happens that if you crash into something, people get hurt. A gun, its sole purpose, whether you think it's to defend somebody or however, how do you think it defends somebody? You kill somebody else. That is its sole purpose, is to end life. And we're going to disagree on that. Like I said, dissent versus dismissal. But while we're all disagreeing with each other, let's not fall into dismissal where we all just... I can't even articulate this. Where we all just start brushing each other off, saying pointing fingers and, oh no, he's a crisis actor because he's just upset because his friends died. Well, yeah, he's upset because his friends died. If anyone here is a crisis actor, look at the president who had to have a no card on how to behave in this setting, in talking with these survivors. Note number 5. I hear you. I'm sorry. What? You're listening to these survivors tell you their story. You need someone to tell you to say, I hear you, which is already lip service to say in the most offensive way possible, but to have it written on a note card for you to remember to say it, that is beyond, I can't even fathom. Okay? And we're just going to sit here and blame everything except the rage is an emotionally draining force, whatever you want to call it. It consumes all the energy you have until it's all you have left, and then you wither and collapse from exhaustion. Okay, you can't stay angry forever. That said, how many more people have to die because the NRA wants to make a buck? How many more people have to die because people can't get it through their heads that the whole landscape of what America is not what it was in 1787. You think James Madison, when writing that amendment, was like, let's see, Second Amendment, right to bear arms. You think the thought occurred to him that he had to put in, but just don't kill each other in a mass shooting? You know, Like, who would even think in 1787 that people would be exploiting that amendment to this power? And the amendments themselves, the Constitution itself was meant to be amended. That's why we have amendments. For everyone who says, oh, the Constitution is law, the Constitution is you can't go against the Constitution. We have, like, what, 27 amendments to it that prove otherwise? Some of which even contradict each other? America, and I hope I don't lose all my readers and viewers from this, but it needs to be said. We need to come together as a nation, okay? And instead, we're pointing fingers at kids, and kids are acting more like leaders than our leaders themselves. And bravo to those kids, okay? Congratulations, kids. Because you're doing something that I never would have thought anyone would have the courage to do 10 years ago. And it really needed to be done 10 years ago. Hell, it should have been done in 1999 with the Columbine shooting. But nobody had any idea it was going to spiral into this. I was 10 when the Columbine shooting occurred. And the teacher, the special ed teacher, well, all the teachers really, but in my case it was the special ed teacher. In that time I had just been diagnosed with ASD, my Asperger's syndrome, and there weren't really emotional support classes or support groups for it in the elementary school for it yet, because it was considered such an anomaly, to have that diagnosis in 1998. But it was more of the learning disabilities kind of special ed classes that they put me in, even though that wasn't really the right fit, but that's where I ended up. So anyway, the teacher sat us down in class time and asked us what we knew about the shooting, asked us how it made us felt, and answered all our questions and everything. And at the time I felt, that was appropriate, But when it keeps happening on almost a weekly basis, there's just so much of that you can bear. And I just felt like I had to stop what I was doing and sit down and show my face and put how I felt out here. And if it's okay if you disagree with me, but please don't dismiss these kids, because they have more courage right now tackling this issue than even most of our lawmakers in the last 10 years. And even our own president. Okay? And what I mean by that is, there was an executive order that Obama signed into action that would have affected this shooter's ability, in this case, his ability to even legally get that gun. And in this case, all the reports are saying right now that he was legally able to get that gun because Trump overturned it. Because Trump has been overturning everything Obama. This partisan politics needs to die. This divisiveness needs to end. It's time to come together and figure out how do we... It's time to figure out, as a community, where we went wrong, and how do we fix this? Because clearly, nothing we've tried in the past is doing a dent, and that's assuming we've even tried anything. Okay? And I see my dad shaking his head through the computer screen here. That's okay. He gets to disagree with me. That's part of the First Amendment. Okay? I'm not saying come in and take everybody's guns. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, let's have some common sense about what we're doing. Okay? Because when something gets abused this much, maybe it's time to take it off the market. We took marijuana off the market. We took Four Loko off the market because it was killing people. Well, maybe not the marijuana for that reason, but there's been talk of regulating. We regulate tobacco and alcohol because too much of it kills people. Okay? The sole purpose of a gun is to kill people. Why are we just handing them out hand over fist to people who want to hurt people? And the one thing I hear over and over again... Hi, cat. The one thing I hear over and over again... Excuse me. Cat wants to go out. Oh, that's a loud door. The one thing I hear over and over again is I can't even think because I'm so emotional right now. I don't look it, but I'm trying to hold it together. It's all in my head right now. Please bear with me. The argument, the counter argument that I keep hearing to regulating gun sales is that if you look at all the laws that are already out there, they're not being utilized. Well then, shit, utilize them. Let's take a look at the ones that are common sense and utilize them. But nobody wants to touch anything because of the Second Amendment, which is being grossly abused, maliciously. Like, literally, maliciously. It's do or die, physically. People are dying because nobody's doing anything. I'd like to take a moment right now and just a moment of silence for everyone, all the bright futures we've lost, who will never know what they could have achieved if it hadn't been for all this reckless violence, okay? Moment of silence. When I was entering 5th grade, my homeroom teacher, the first day of school, told us a story about 2 kids who were playing with a gun, and the gun discharged, and one of the kids died from it. He then took us to the auditorium and had us like play with the seats, get our energy out and everything. And I was all happy and, like, cool, we're playing with the seats. And then I heard him say, "That's right, kids, get it all out." And I just felt bad and I stopped because I realized what he was doing. It wasn't just, hey, let's have some fun time. He was expecting us to realize the weight of the story he just told us and have that have some kind of emotional impact on us. And everyone else is just messing with the seats, rocking back and forth in them, all happy, laughing and everything. And I'm just there like, well, shit. Now I'm having an existential crisis. And it's only the first day of 5th grade. I'm not even 11 yet. And just the gravity of that moment. Like, if we could all have just that moment of gravity right now for this situation and just really realize what's more important right now. The ability to own a weapon or protecting the lives of the future generation, protecting the lives of human beings. Is that worth more to you than a paragraph on 200-year-old paper? I should think it is. And this whole concept of just arm the teachers, arm the teachers, arm the teachers. If there was a gun there, well, guess what? There was a gun there. And the human factor of humans are imperfect beings and prone to the same fears and faults that the rest of the people inside the school were prone to, okay? He ran. He was there for a purpose, to protect those kids, to prove that having another gun there was going to stop this incident from happening, and guess what? It didn't. It was worse than my fear of having more guns in the classrooms, okay? Because, I was afraid that it would be twice as many bullets flying in the air. No, this is even worse because the person who's sworn to protect them ran off and nobody was there to protect them. And now they're saying, oh, just give guns to the teachers. So, let me get this straight. You won't even pay for their teaching supplies. You're cutting their budgets. But you're willing to pay for their guns. Who's paying for their guns? Let me ask you that. They have so many other secondary responsibilities right now, and you want to hand them a big one, which, by the way, a teacher who is armed, licensed to conceal carry for just such an occasion was still shot dead by the police, according to some reports that I read. Okay? So that argument falls flat. So, again, bravo. You've just debunked your own... You've debunked your own methods for keeping these kids safe through the use of more weapons. Fighting fire with fire, and that's not a pun, fighting fire with more fire is not going to put out a fire. It's just going to give you more fire to put out. That's why firemen, use a hose full of some kind of substance, whether it's water or the foam, to put out a fire. Okay? We need cool, rational heads who are not going to attack victims of a tragedy to figure out this mess. Okay? It's going to take somebody with the courage to stand up and say, well, shit, they don't have this problem in those countries. What are they doing that we're not? And the answer is a lot. They are doing a lot more than what we are doing to curb this problem. So, just as a reference, okay? America has guns out the wazoo. Other nations don't. America has mass shootings in public places every other day, almost. It feels like. Other nations haven't had that happen in years. Maybe America is not as great as some people make it out to be in this regard. I'm a subscriber to the notion that there's always room for improvement. Okay? And I feel like right now we're taking a hard step backwards. Okay? Because when you attack children who have already been through something like this as it is, and attack them relentlessly, like that, again, what kind of society do we want? Do we want a society where this keeps happening and we hold up in bunkers for the rest of our lives? Or do we want a society where people can feel safe and secure and not have to worry about existential crises every time they step into a movie theater or a public building? The choice is ours, America, but, we have to make that choice. And I have a lot of, like I said, I have a lot of police friends and relatives, our veteran relatives and friends. But I have just as many teacher friends and relatives, okay? So, I'm kind of caught in the crossfires here in my own family. And it just didn't seem right to me that I shouldn't speak my mind on this matter. Because this is a very important matter right now, by the way, in case I haven't made that perfectly clear in the last, half hour that I've been going on about this, but the old saying goes, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Well, in this case, I'm both. In fact, I'm beyond both. And again, the choice needs to be made what kind of society we want. Do we live in fear of everything in our own shadows? Or do we come together and work together and restore faith in humanity. I'll leave that up to you guys. But you know where I stand now. Thank you. This has been a Roll Star PSA. I'm the Roll Star, and I wish it hadn't come to this. It just... I don't know what else I can say at this point that hasn't already been said in this video or any other medium. Let's just try to do better. And do better. Because we have to do better than this. Thank you for listening.
I will not run and I will not hide. I'll always keep you by my side. And in these days of darkest hour, I know I feel His greatest powers shine onto me like an evening bell. I'll sing for you the sweetest spell to make me free and feel whole again. For what I've lost, I'll see again in heaven. Keep you by my side, and in these days of darkest hour, I know I feel His greatest power shine onto me like an evening bell. I'll sing for you the sweetest spell to make me free, feel whole again. For what I've lost, I'll see again in heaven. Don't know why you had to go. It's unfair 'cause I'll never know. Now I have to wait patiently to understand why you were taken from me. 'Cause I will not run and I will not hide. I'll always keep you by my side. And in these days of darkest hour, I know I feel His greatest power